Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I found myself on the shore of Amapá River, deep in the Brazilian Amazon. And this is one extremely remote location. And yet, there are some people living around. There are some tiny communities on the shores of this river. And in the next few days, I'm about to explore these communities. And after that, I will dive deep into the rainforest of Brazilian Amazon. And the usual, I will look for some wildlife. So please, stay with me, because this will get really interesting. But I guess first I should explain you how the hell I managed to end up in this place. Because in my last video, you saw me reaching the city of Manaus. And very long story short, even before I started pedaling my way to Manaus, I was looking for somebody, some person who could host me in the city. And among many profiles that I found on Couchsurfing, there was this one person who was offering this opportunity to stay in some really remote location in Brazilian Amazon. So I texted this person and he replied, and then he accepted me. So once I got to Manaus, I met this person and I left my bicycle and some part of my gear in his flat. And the very next morning we took one very long ride in a car and then yet another ride in a boat. And now I happen to be in the property of this person, which is roughly 250 kilometers outside of Manaus. So this man sitting on my left is the reason why I'm here in this remote location, Mr. Albert. And curiously enough, Mr. Albert, he's not Brazilian. He's actually South African. Mixed, yeah. So could you tell us, Mr. Albert, how you managed to end up in Brazil and how this all worked out? Because you told me you were born and raised in South Africa, weren't you?
Yeah. Well, that comes from having a South African background. Is that my dad was brought up and born in the Amazon, and my mother was born and bred in Spain, and they came together in Brazil. They had my sister and then traveled over to South Africa, and I was born in South Africa. One thing that was incredibly like an eye-opener, even from a small age, was always asking my dad about stories about the Amazon. So it was really a thing for me. From an early age, I had this image of Amazon, of river, of nature, of animals, and I really had this thing from a very early age to come here. And then when I had a chance, the chance didn't come easily. I actually came over by boat. I came over sailing to Brazil. Took me 28 days. And then I had to link up with a family. I had still some family in São Paulo, and then the rest of the family was here, but I had to look for them. And then I came here, and I fell in love with the place, and more than anything, I fell in love with the proximity to family, which is what really made me stay. Yeah, I escaped like post-apartheid decline of South Africa in the early 90s, and I started traveling. And like I said, it was always a dream to come to Brazil. So the dream was always to come to Brazil to meet the family.
I mean, but your life story is fascinating. You moved a lot, and your dream now is to leave the Amazon. That's what you told me.
Oh,
and
yes.
Start sailing. That's your...
Well, I have done a little bit of sailing in the past, and my dream is to continue sailing. This I'm actually building as a kind of retirement. This is, I'm making it up for me for when I tire of traveling.
Okay.
So I intend to buy another boat. I'm not sure where I'll buy the boat, but I know where I'll be sailing the boat to, which will be the easiest, yeah, the Indonesia, Polynesia, Micronesia, or Melanesia, the easiest, yeah, that area. And this will be a place that when I tire of sailing, I can always come back here.
And this beautiful afternoon, it's not raining yet, it seems, and we're heading to one community a little bit upstream, or is it downstream?
It's upriver.
Upriver, and Mr. Albert is coming with me, since he's a great expert of these areas. He has some knowledge of these areas and he's friend of all of these people. Fair enough. Fair enough.
We have a meeting with the cacique, yeah?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
which is the leader, indigenous leader. And maybe we meet some interesting people along the way.
We're approaching the community of Comunidade Livramento. Livramento community. I don't know what can be said about this community.
That we pronounce it livramento and not livramiento. Yes,
Livramento.
That's a start.
Comunidade Livramento.
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 Yeah.
Livramento community. Oi.
Opa, tudo bem?
Tudo bem?
Como que tá? Tá alegria?
Alegria!
Muita chuva.
Pois é, né?
Bom dia, senhor.
Chuva.
Bom dia.
Bom dia. Muita chuva, né?
Muita chuva. Acho que vai. Não tá, já tá chegando aí.
Já, a gente nem
It's gonna
sabe.
rain. We didn't even close the front with the plastic.
Oh.
And look at the rain coming. The rain is on its way.
Well,
Tudo bem?
I think all the hammocks will get wet.
Maybe.
Soaked.
Let's wait for the surprise when we get there. Esse aqui é um amigo meu, da Lituânia.
É?
Sim.
Sim. Ele estava aqui outro dia. Estava aqui ontem, né?
Sim, eu passei por aqui para conseguir internet, não? Porque aqui tem internet.
Bem-vindo ao nosso Amazonas,
Uhum.
Valeu.
nossa comunidade aí.
E cacique fica para lá, não?
Sim.
Ok.
He owned, I don't know if he still owns the property next to mine.
This cacique?
No, this guy.
Ah, this guy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The one that we were walking across.
Uh-huh. Well, what surprised me is how big this community is, you know. There's like markets everywhere.
It has grown. It has grown quite
Yeah.
a lot. It has grown considerably.
I mean,
I remember it was like, when I got here, it was probably about 50, 60 house strong. Now it's probably about going to 300, 400.
Gosta?
sim, tá bom, obrigado.
Opa,
Duas.
valeu.
Toma.
Valeu. Obrigado.
Muito obrigado. E cacique nós está aqui, não?
É.
Hoje.
O cacique saiu.
Ah, o cacique
Saiu?
Saiu.
E você sabe quando vai voltar? Vai voltar
Não.
hoje, não?
Acho que só à noite.
Só à noite?
À noite.
E amanhã vai estar aqui, não?
Com certeza amanhã ele tá por aí.
Com certeza, não?
Ontem, essa noite ele veio. Nós se encontramos na estrada. Ele veio pra cá. Eu acho que hoje ele já foi de novo. Mas à noite ele tá por aí.
Okay. So my idea was to speak with the cacique of the village. Yeah, but unfortunately he is not in the village. He's somewhere away and he'll be back only tonight, late at night apparently. So I think we'll slowly be heading back.
Onde que é esse lugar para comprar cerveja?
Senhor.
Pra cá não tem.
Pra ali?
É.
Ali tem. Pra ali tem. Ali não sei se tem ainda, no máximo.
E essa comunidade é uma comunidade indígena, não? Como considerada como uma comunidade indígena, não?
Não,
Não?
não, mas
Ah,
aqui tem esse coisa de indígena aqui, para ali, pouco bairro,
ok.
mas aqui não é considerado como indígena não.
Não é, não. E você não tem nada de gente.
Não, graças a Deus.
Graças a Deus.
Meus parentes ali falam que são indígenas, mas não são não, só para ganhar um rosto mesmo do indígena, mas não
Ok.
vejo nada disso não.
Mas você nasceu e cresceu aqui, não?
Com certeza, nós
Com certeza é aqui. E às vezes você vai para Manaus, você sempre fica aqui.
Sim, nós saímos daqui sim, com certeza. Ninguém é índio aqui não. Eles se passam de índio, mas não é índio.
Mas tem pajé, tem cacique.
É.
Não é não?
Eu não sei
Sabe
bem.
que diz que veio pra cá pros índios? 2 toneladas de rancho. Nada, não tem porra.
Não chegou nada?
Não. Diz que chegaram, né? Tá na casa do Moura, do... É, Jonas Moura. Cadê? Não dividiu esse rancho pros que são índios, que falam que é índio? Acho que índio só é ele lá. Só ele come o rancho.
Ele não dividiu entre vocês, né?
Índio não, aqui eu não tenho nada a ver com tá lá, né? Aí ele até fez vídeo, essas coisas lá, recebendo um rancho, 2 toneladas de rancho.
Mas tá onde?
Sabe lá. Deu por aí. Sabe lá pra onde, pra família dele.
Ele vai dar esse rancho para vocês no dia do índio, lá, dia 19 de abril. Vai entregar para todo mundo.
Não, nunca aconteceu isso. Pegar hoje.
Yeah, parents in general like me.
Okay.
Very soon I can be scratching their heads, but it's not. I'm talking about big parrots. You can normally tell that they're getting angry with you when their eyes start becoming red. Their eyelids start covering more and more of their eyelids of their eyes. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Never heard about this. Well, at least judging from my experience in this region, this is arguably the most common snake of the Amazon rainforest. This is either Pseudoboa coronata or Pseudoboa nuvidi. And I just keep on finding these noodles everywhere. I kept on finding them on the eastern Amazon, and now I find them here in the central Amazon. And this is just a juvenile snake. They do get so much bigger, up to 1 meter in length. And usually, if you won't find any snakes, you at least will find one of these. And they never bite, they never strike, and they somewhat low-key imitate venomous coral snakes. So it was raining all morning, and we decided to check out local community nearby, some family living further down there, and apparently they're harvesting cassava this morning. So Mr. Albert, how many pigs do you have?
Oh, 6.
And could you crack any interesting jokes or stories about your pigs?
Well, these are all from hell. They eat concrete.
Eat concrete.
Yes, for a start, and when they disappear, they'll disappear for like 4 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I was told, you told me that some of these pigs are getting attacked by blood-sucking bats.
Yes, that's why we keep the lights on, and for a while the jaguars were in the area, we had to electrocute the whole pen so that the jaguars wouldn't get them. But they were well protected. We didn't lose one to a jaguar.
So 2 natural hazards, jaguars and vampire bats.
And vampire bats.
And you yourself, aren't you scared of sleeping in a hammock like that when vampire bats are around?
No.
I mean, they attack dogs, they attack cattle.
Apparently they get you by the feet, and I cover my feet, so no problem.
Okay.
Bom dia.
All right.
Eu venho trazer ajudante aqui para vocês. Sua alegria? Chuva, 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 não para mais. Ai.
Esse aqui é pesado.
Brinca.
Ele foi correndo daqui lá para...
Could you describe me what's going on here?
Okay,
give some...
so the cassava has been yanked out of the ground, it has been brought here. They are now peeling, they're removing the skin. From there, okay, when you take this, vocês colocam para amolecer primeiro? Quanto tempo?
Não, só pouco.
Dia?
Não. Amolecer é uns 3 dias.
3 days. They leave this in water. Okay, they'll soak it in water. Okay, so it becomes really, really soft. And then this is a machine that they have, very, very rustic. This will turn. Okay, and as you can see, there are like little edges. Okay, and this will grind. Okay, this turns around, and this will grind everything into like a very, very fine kind of pulp. Okay, and from here, as you can see, this is full of moisture, and this is the juice that you have to get out of here. This is full of cyanide, and from here,
Full of cyanide, so
Full
it's
of cyanide.
highly poisonous.
highly poisonous. Okay, and from here it's compressed. It's going to be put inside blocks and it's going to be compressed so all the juice gets out, and then it's going to be roasted on the big frying pan.
Okay, and roasting, how long? Like, is it long process?
It's a long process. Quantas horas para torrar?
2 horas.
2 hours.
2 hours.
Of roasting with a lot of bugs and a lot of heat. But yeah,
And then it can be sold. Yeah, it can be
or consumed or sold.
or consumed for. Okay, and you told me that one bag of it.
The going price of one bag of cassava, which is probably this size, no, it's bigger than that, is 200 reais at the moment, which is in dollars. You can look it up. It's not
Like $40.
$40.
$40.
A lot of work.
Quieta. Tá bravo com homem?
Qual que é o...
So this is, you can see, Eastern European man, Lithuanian man, struggling to learn how to peel cassava. I mean, it's not a rocket science, to be frank. She's so much faster than I am. Então vocês vão tardar todo o dia para fazer isso, não? Vocês vão tardar todo o dia para fazer isso, não? Não? Algumas horas, não?
Algumas.
Ah, ok. É muito trabalho com essa cassava. This is how you do it. Take a knife. You fish cassava. Then you get this little tool. How can I call this? Grinder?
Scraper.
Scraper. A little scraper.
Scraper, peeler.
This part is sharp. And yeah, you just keep on scraping. You just keep on grinding. This is easy. It's a bit more complicated around the edges right here. You know, it feels a bit like a potato harvest season in Lithuania. Okay, we don't peel anything, but you know, the vibe is similar. You know.
I've been to the countryside here for like I went. They asked me to go with them to go to the Roça. Yeah, they were going to do something. They were going to clear an area, remove the weeds or something.
Yeah.
And everyone was working together. And my cousin's wife, yeah, she lifted her head and like she turned to her eldest son and like, oh, Ezekiel, I just remembered, it was your birthday 2 days ago, okay? So in case anyone asks you how old you are, you're not 11 anymore, okay? Now your answer is 12, okay? Happy birthday. Continue working. that was the birthday celebration. That's the reality of it.
In some places they call this plant yucca. In other places it is known as manioc. And in Brazil and Amazon they call it cassava. I mean, this plant, it has many names. And it is the main source of carbohydrates for communities all throughout Amazonian region. So what you see behind me is a typical Casavo plantation in Brazil and Amazon. And this is really a good example of slash and burn farming, because all this chunk of the rainforest, it was burned down to the ground, and then cassava was planted. And you can also see some palm trees standing all around. And all of these palms, they were left intentionally, because these are so-called Tucumã palm trees, and their fruits are also being harvested.
E nada de cobra mais?
So we just came over to see the neighbors of Mr. Albert once again, and now eventually roasting of cassava is taking place.
this is an interesting step that maybe you don't know about. You can see that they're busy scraping all the skins. They're peeling these cassava. There are other cassavas that have been put in water and soaked overnight for various days. And to make the good flour, they need to be mixed. You can't just use one or the other. They actually make them mixed, and this is what gives them a little bit of a special taste. And then they put a little bit of dye just to give it a little bit of a special color. Yeah, and then the flour is ready.
Ela não passa mato. Bem aperreado.
It's really hard to describe the heat that this pan generates. It's so hot in there. It's crazy.
Eu tinha lá, mas que eu tinha lá, pô, desse fez rapidinho.
Obrigado. É muito interessante. So it's close to midnight and I'm about to jump into my hammock. You see, I really need to take some good rest because tomorrow we're about to cross this river and we're about to visit yet another community on the other shore. And after that, I will hike deep into the rainforest to look for some wildlife. But for now, I really need to take some good rest. So, good night, my friends. I will see you in my next video.